Hello, my name is Crystal and today I will be talking to you about the structure of triglycerides. First off, let's explain exactly what is a triglyceride. A triglyceride is an ester that is composed of a glycerol bound to three fatty acid residues. Its primary role is to provide energy. The structure of triglycerides begins with the ester that is formed from the reaction of a carboxylic acid and an alcohol. When the carboxylic acid or the alcohol have more than one of the copy of the functional groups, the product may have more than one ester. An example of this would be three acetic acids reacting with a glycerol that has three OH groups. Then the triester, named triacetone, is formed. Because it contains a glycerol residue, this triester is considered a triglyceride. They serve as the backbone of many types of lipids. The glycerol molecule has three hydroxyl groups, and each fatty acid attached to the glycerol has a carboxyl group. In the triglycerides, the hydroxyl group joins with the carboxyl groups of the fatty acids to form ester bonds. When these triglycerides form, the OH group attached to the fatty acids comes off the chain in order to form the H2O. Chain lengths of the fatty acids can be varying length, but 16, 18, and 20 carbons are the most common. Triglycerides can usually contain 2 or 3 different kinds of fatty acid residues, and each fatty acid in a triglyceride is usually different from one another. There are many triglycerides, and they all depend on the oil source, and some are highly unsaturated and some are not. Saturated compounds are saturated with hydrogen, which means all available spaces where hydrogen can bond to any carbon atoms are occupied. Unsaturated compounds contain a double bonded carbon, reducing the number of spaces that hydrogen atoms can bond to the carbon atoms. The saturated compounds have single bonds between carbon atoms, and the other bond is bound to hydrogen atoms. Unsaturated fats are more likely to be liquid due to their lower melting point. On the other hand, saturated fats have a melting point above room temperature, which makes them more likely to be a solid. We come across these structures of triglycerides almost every day. Ever walked in a supermarket by the meat section? Well, although you may not see it, the beef fat contains a triglyceride that contains more saturated fatty acids residue than unsaturated. Now try looking in your own kitchen, and I'm sure you're more than certain you'll find triglycerides that contain more unsaturated fatty acid residues than saturated. An example of this would be vegetable oils.